And we had a bit of breaking news that we're going to start today's show with after a reminder that FanDuel, guys, FanDuel's in playoff mode just like we are. During playoff mode on FanDuel, every customer and FanDuel user gets a chance to win extra money with a profit boost pack that's waiting for them inside the app. All you do is make your picks like usual, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. Just visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every single NFL playoff game day. Guys, we have two candidates that are interviewing with the Browns today. But before we get to the two candidates that are interviewing with Cleveland today, we got bigger news. The Browns have officially invited, according to reports, two candidates back for second interviews, and these were not the two names that I think a lot of us would have expected to get second interviews. Those two names are Jim Schwartz, the Browns' current defensive coordinator, and Todd Monken, the former Ravens offensive coordinator that many thought would go with John Harbaugh to the Giants. That still may happen in the long run. But according to Peter Schrager, on Tuesday, Monken will be back in Berea interviewing with Jimmy Haslam, Andrew Berry, and the Browns contingent for their open head coaching position. Before we dive into the candidates who we're interviewing today, Bo, what was your initial reaction to finding out that both Jim Schwartz and Todd Monken are among the however many number of candidates will get second interviews for the Browns?
Don't like it, guys. Don't like it at all, especially Todd Monken. As much as I've complained about the idea of Udinski, especially because he's young, I've complained about it a lot. I said it's crazy. I'd still rather have him than Todd Monken, because Todd Monken is about to turn 60 years old, and he's never been a head coach. Now, I know Bruce Arians did that, and it worked out, but the fact that he's 60 or about to turn 60 and never been a head coach, the fact that he, I know they deny it, but that apparently he had a bad relationship with Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, I listen, like I said, whoever the Browns hire, I'm going to give him an opportunity, even Todd Monken. I don't like it, but I'm not going to say, there's no chance he's going to be good. I'll give him a fair chance. But of all the names I've heard, he's my last choice. I don't like it at all. In terms of Schwartz, again, I'm okay with Schwartz. I don't love it, but I don't hate it like I do with Todd Monken.
The Monken move is, I just want to dig in deeper because, when they talk about his personality type, I think that don't you want somebody that's going to inspire people more than what we had in Kevin Stefanski? I think it's important that you get somebody who has some characteristic traits that you felt were lacking in Kevin Stefanski. I look at Todd Monken and I'm like, that's Kevin Stefanski's dad. That's his cousin.
Zach Jackson called him a grumpy Kevin Stefanski.
Oh no! And he don't got no coaching experience. He's
been a head coach in college.
In college,
for a couple years. He's never been an NFL head coach.
Nah, and then my thing too is, if y'all got moved along in Baltimore and ain't nobody pushing back against it, everybody is excited. You go ask Baltimore people, they listen, this offense was trash. We didn't like what he was running. We liked the offense under what's the last, was it Jim Roman or?
Greg Roman. Greg Roman, yeah. And I don't think anybody else is interviewing for a head coach job, are they, Mike?
Monken?
Yeah.
I ain't heard nothing else.
I don't think so.
Maybe, but I don't remember hearing it.
I mean, Schwartz, how I feel like. I think Schwartz has a little bit of an inside track. I do think it's ironic that they are bringing these guys in, Earl. They're bringing these guys in for a second, which means that some of the initial candidates may have not worked out, or some people that they wanted to get in turned them down to go other places.
Yeah, I think exactly that's what it is, man. The Browns have done more research on head coaching candidates this offseason than any other team looking for a head coach.
Well, that's what Jeremy Fowler said.
I
don't know how he would know that.
Hold on. According to reports, but y'all ever been super, super hungry, right? And everything is appealing to you. Everybody watching know what this is. You get super hungry, you pull out your phone, the first thing you do is search food near me.
Yep.
And then all these different options pop up, and you so hungry you get confused. You think you want this, you think you want that, and then it gets later, you can't settle in on anything, you say the hell with it. You just end up picking whatever. Well, the Browns is in a situation where you just can't end up picking whatever. And it seems like to me some of the candidates that was high on their list, they probably got turned down by. And so now they going back and doing their due diligence on two guys that they think they might like, but at the same time, I got a theory. I think second interviews is not always about, what can you do for me as a head coach? But, we'll get into this later. They're going to interview 2 young guys today who are strong candidates. And so it might be a situation, at least with Schwartz anyway. Let's see if this is a marriage that can work. That if we don't hire him as a head coach, can we pair him with one of these young guys and move forward? The thing with Monken is a little bit of a head scratcher, because if you're not going to be a head coach here, why would you come here to be an OC and you already got a relationship with John Harbaugh? So that part of it don't make sense to me.
No, and the reality is that, and I know our fan base is like, oh, the Browns' job is not that bad. It's not that bad. Yeah, there are other bad jobs too, but there are so many jobs available. And the reality is that the Browns, like, if a guy has a choice, he's probably going to pick somebody else. You could say whatever you want. You could talk. I've heard people say the great defense. You got Myles Garrett. The schedule's easy next year. I don't know why that matters. The Browns have a bad reputation in the league. The Browns don't have a sure thing at quarterback. A lot of these other teams either do, or at least the team thinks they do, or in the Raiders' case, they have the first pick in the draft. So if a guy's got options, he's probably not going to pick the Browns. And that's maybe why these 2 are getting a second try. I don't know. Maybe the other guys didn't. They didn't like him. I don't know.
Chris Shula, they at least requested an interview with Chris Shula, and he's interviewing with 3 teams for their head coaching job today.
Right.
The Browns are not one of those 3
right.
teams. So maybe
it seems pretty
later,
obvious Chris Shula told the Browns no thanks.
There's when you look at it, I think what hurt him a little bit was in terms of the candidate pool was you take a look at what happened with the Steelers. The Steelers' job was not supposed to be open.
That's right.
The Ravens' job was not supposed to be open.
Right.
So when you put those 2 prime jobs on the market,
right,
and also Miami came open a little bit later than we thought.
Too, yeah.
So it's Miami. There's no sales tax. You got Vegas. They got the number 1 pick. You got teams like New York. It's a bigger market. It's the Giants, right? So
the Titans, bad owner too, bad team too. But if you like Cam Ward,
if you like that,
let's face it, there's more coaches out there probably like Cam Ward than Shedeur Sanders.
And I think they have the most cap space of any team in
they have
the NFL.
A ton of cap space. The Browns don't have a ton of cap space.
If you look at
the Cardinals, that's probably just as bad as the Browns.
But it's Arizona. But it is
Arizona from a weather standpoint.
I think Arizona got some pieces, though. If you look at it, they had a 1,000-yard wide receiver that was not Marvin Harrison Jr. I think what's his name? Michael Wilson.
Michael Wilson.
He had 1,000 yards?
He
had 1,000 yards.
And Trey McBride's really
And they
good.
got Trey McBride, too.
Yeah.
So they got some young pieces on offense, and they got one of the former Ohio State offensive linemen who's still on his rookie deal. They got some pieces on the offense.
Yeah, obviously we know Falcons. Lamar Jackson. That's the Steelers are not really in better shape roster-wise necessarily than the Browns, but they have a better reputation in that place. And the Falcons, he's known as one of the best owners in the league.
And you got Bijan, you got
a ton of talent on offense.
So if you look, and you play inside, and you're playing in warm weather cities and in divisions. Yeah. So if you think about it, those 2 jobs really flooded the market with other opportunities. And I think this is why Todd Monken's getting a second look. Because I don't think a lot of them, why do you think Jim Schwartz got brought in for another job?
Yeah.
Because now there's not going to be enough coaches to go around.
That's
so they got to do their due diligence. By the way, I'm like you. Give me the young dude. I take the young dude over Monken because I want something new. I want something fresh. And I want something. They gave a story. They talked about how he basically slept in his car. And then the defense,
which guy?
The Udinsky,
who we're talking about next.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what makes me especially concerned, and this may be totally unfair, about Monken and just about going with an older coach. I'm a little worried. Like, how Jason's been saying, it's all about 29, all about 29. And the rest of us are like, we don't want to. You may be right, but I don't want to hear that. And people want to win. If you hire a 60-year-old, ideally you want to hire a coach that in theory can be your coach for the next 15, 20 years, right? It obviously doesn't work out that way very often.
That's the goal.
But that's the goal when you hire a coach. That's what you hope. Just like when you get a quarterback, you hope he's going to be a quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. Same thing with a coach, maybe even longer. I feel like if you hire an older coach, especially one with a lack of experience as a head coach, for a team that, let's face it, is probably not going to be very good next year, it feels like keeping him here to maybe babysit a couple of years, and then when you think the team could be good in a few years, you fire him, and that's when you hire the young coach.
Right.
And I'm a little worried. They're and listen, they got to start over. We understand they're starting over to some degree, but don't hire a coach who's like the fill the gap coach till we get the real coach in a couple of years. I don't like that. I mean that may be unfair to him, but that's how it feels a little bit to me.
I kind of like it because the Browns have an opportunity. And listen, for a lot of the time I was, talking about Kevin Stefanski and what he can bring to the table and why I think they should move on. I think it's imperative. Take it from the guy that's been in a lot of relationships. I think it's imperative that if you do end up back on the market and you're looking for another person to fill this role, I think that you need to really go out on a limb and say, I got an opportunity to change some things right now. I would really want to go for a change. Don't go for Todd Monken is a safe move. Like, okay, he's in the division. I know what he's going to bring to the table. But is this the guy that that's going to identify with your roster? Our roster is full of young players. Is this the guy that they're going to look and say, I'm excited to play for him? I respect him.
I feel you on the whole going for a change narrative, but do the Cleveland Browns really know what they want? And that's just an open-ended question. When you listen to what Andrew Berry said in their press conference, he's open to any archetype, right? And so because you're going to interview all these DCs and OCs and, guys that got all these different backgrounds, eventually, man, you got to narrow it down and ask yourself, okay, what is the qualities, what is the characteristics, what is the traits that I'm looking for? Narrow down that field, and it'll give you a better direction of what you should do based on what you have on your roster here. That's just my opinion on how they should go about it. And I think, like, when you hear the reports of they've done the most research, it almost seems like they scatterbrain a little bit, right? Like you thinking too much into it. And so to me, you get into a point, man, to where you got to start narrowing it down, because whoever you pick as a coach, they got to put a staff together. February is right around the corner when you get to the combine and things like that. And if you start over as an organization, continuity is really, really slim. So you want to try to kind of start getting the pieces of the puzzle put together as early as you possibly can.
When he's talking about continuity, and that's a very good question. If they say, you know what, we didn't get what we thought we was going to get, and they hired Jim Schwartz and Tommy Rees as a coordinator, how many people would be upset about that?
I'll lose my mind.
That would be. I wouldn't love that. I mean, it's fine. I'd rather have Schwartz than Monken, but I wouldn't love that. I mean, I don't think they're going to get any of the candidates that I was excited about. So if you're not going to get any of those guys, in my mind, then go ahead, take a shot.
McNuggets, you be salty?
I got a guy of the young guys. One of the guys we've talked about that I'm the most interested in.
Well, we'll get to them in a sec. Yeah, I'd be salty, G, because if you're going to change a culture, change a culture.
Right.
Just firing Stefanski and keeping two guys who have both been here for multiple years.
Yeah.
And thinking it's going to just completely change, to me, is not the fix. But